Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Hi everyone, how are you? This is Aset the Self with stillness and self inquiry. We have to learn how to still our minds, bring our mind down into the heart so that we can listen to the self intelligence. Because growing up as human beings here, we're only taught to dwell into the mind intelligence. And rarely are we ever taught anything about centering ourselves into the self intelligence. And so we're in the minds a lot, and this is the mind gets impure and corrupted. This is the reason for all of the issues that we have in the world because of the corruptness of the minds of all the beings and the minds of the consciousness. So we have to learn how to still the mind so that we can purify it, so that we can calm the mind. And this is why stillness and self-inquiry is so important, because every question that we have, who do we ask? We go into the mind. But if we just still the mind and go into the self-intelligence, then we can get answers that the mind does not have, that the self-intelligence has. And we can give the mind an opportunity to rest so that we can be more engaged into the self, and we can make more balance and harmony within ourselves, because now we're engaging in the heart and we're engaging also with the mind, and they're balancing instead of only dwelling into the mind and not dwelling into the self intelligence. So now is the time, because the world is changing and there's so many things that are changing on the world and changing within ourselves. And so the minds of the beings, the minds of everyone is being affected by all the changes. And so now it is imperative that we all still our mind so that everyone can stay calm, and everyone can have some skills and techniques of how to balance the mind and how to maintain harmony with the self-intelligence. Just imagine what difference it would be if we were balancing the mind into the self-intelligence. We would be more harmonious beings, because in our culture we are only dwelling in the mind intelligence. The time has come now when we need to bring the mind down into the self-intelligence so that the self-intelligence can purify it. The self-intelligence is the balance that the mind needs. And so it's time for us to do that and to share with others these techniques, because these are the time when everyone needs these techniques of stillness and self-inquiry. We have to start asking the question, every question that we have of the self, and give the mind a rest. Give the mind a break. The time has come for you to give the mind a break now. Use the mind when it's necessary for you to use it. So you want to stay in stillness so we can purify the mind, so everyone can be calm, the earth can be calm, and the way we are engaging with others, we can all be calm. Okay, so let's start engaging into our self-intelligence. Balance the mind intelligence with the self-intelligence. The mind needs the self, and the self needs the mind in the world. To create, to do things, you need the mind to think and all those things and do those things in the world. But when we dwell only in the mind, we corrupt the mind, and this is the reason why we have so much pain and suffering, because you're dwelling in your mind too much. You have to get out of it. To get out of your mind, bring it down in the center of the chest, and it's not difficult to do it. You just have to use your imagination. Use your imagination, and you just bring it down, just like this. Go up in the head with your imagination and just bring it down, right in the center of the chest, the mind, and you bring it down, and that's what you do, because that's where the self dwells, and the self will purify the mind. And then once you dwell in there, then you start asking the self all your questions that you have. It's called self-inquiry, self-inquire. So you ask all your questions of the self, and you try to dwell in stillness, still in the mind, so that you can listen to what the self has to say. The self is Yourself is the most important part of you. The mind is the dual nature to the self in the world. They go together like twins, but we have only been overusing the mind. We've been overusing the mind, and we neglect the self. And the self is yourself is the most important part of you. You've only been dwelling in the mind, living in the mind, living as the mind, dwelling as the mind. And it's time for you now to get with yourself and dwell with it within yourself. And get out of the mind. Stop living as the mind. You believe you're the mind. You live out the mind. Everything is the mind for you. And it's time now for you to get out of the mind and start live within yourself. Yes, live within your self-intelligence and get out of the mind. Okay? So are you ready for stillness and self-inquiry? You have to still the mind and you have to self-inquire. All right, I am here for whatever you need to do. Just reach out to me. Any questions that you have, reach out to me.